Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Nature channel. Tonight, you're invited to rest, to let your breathing slow, and to settle into something quietly extraordinary. There's no need to think too hard or remember anything at all. Just allow yourself to be here in this gentle space as we explore one of nature's softest secrets, a pattern that appears everywhere, like a whisper repeated across the world. The golden ratio. It sounds grand, doesn't it? But really, it's just a number that nature seems to love. You'll find it in the spiral of a seashell, in the curve of a wave, in the way petals unfold. It's been there all along, shaping the world around you in the quietest, most beautiful ways. So, settle in, let your shoulders drop, and breathe. Imagine you're standing in a meadow at dusk, and before you is a simple daisy. You've seen 1,000 daisies in your life, but tonight you notice something. The way its petals spiral outward from the center follows a rhythm, a gentle turning that feels just right to your eye. That rhythm is the golden ratio, approximately 1.618, and nature uses it like a lullaby over and over again. The daisy doesn't know mathematics. It simply grows, and in growing, it finds this pattern naturally. Each new petal emerges at an angle that gives it the most space, the most light, and that angle, beautifully, is tied to this golden number. It's not forced. It's just easy, the way water finds the lowest ground. If you could shrink down and sit inside the center of a sunflower, you'd see spirals moving in two directions, clockwise and counterclockwise. These spirals are always arranged in numbers that relate to each other through the golden ratio. The sunflower isn't counting, of course. It's simply being itself, and the pattern emerges like breath emerges from your lungs. The golden ratio appears in pine cones too. Pick one up next time you walk beneath pines, and you'll see those spirals wrapping around the cone's body. They climb upward in two sets of curves, one steep, one gentle, and together they create a kind of dance. The pine cone doesn't need to try. The pattern is already inside it, waiting to unfold. In the soft green curves of a fern, as it uncurls in spring, you'll find this same spiral. The fern begins as a tight coil, a shape called a fiddlehead because it looks like the scroll of a violin. As it grows, it unwinds along a path that follows the golden ratio. Slow and steady, it opens toward the light. Nautilus shells, those ancient spirals from the ocean floor, hold the golden ratio within their chambers. As the creature inside grows, it builds new rooms for itself, each one slightly larger than the last. The proportion between them stays constant, always that same gentle rhythm. The nautilus has been doing this for millions of years, and it's never needed a ruler. You might wonder why nature chooses this number. The answer is softly practical. The golden ratio allows for the most efficient packing, the most sunlight captured, the strongest structure with the least material. It's nature's way of being resourceful without any fuss, the way a bird builds a nest with exactly what it needs and nothing more. Even the spirals of galaxies follow this pattern. Far out in the darkness of space, where stars swirl around a quiet center, they trace a golden spiral. The Milky Way itself, vast and ancient, moves in this same gentle curve. You are part of that galaxy, part of that spiral, resting here under the same mathematics that shapes distant suns. If you've ever noticed how a wave curls before it breaks, you've seen the golden ratio in motion. The water rises, arcs, and falls in a curve that's been the same since oceans first began. It's soothing, isn't it? To know that waves have always moved this way, that they always will. Hurricanes spiral according to this pattern too, though tonight we're thinking only of their shape, not their power. From above, they look like vast pinwheels turning slowly in the atmosphere, and the curve of their arms echoes that same golden spiral. Even in something so immense, the pattern holds. Tree branches often grow in arrangements that follow the golden ratio. As a tree reaches upward, each new branch emerges at an angle that gives it the best chance to catch sunlight without blocking the branches below. The tree doesn't plan this. It simply grows, and the pattern emerges like a song you've always known. The chambered nautilus, drifting through deep ocean waters, carries within its shell a perfect record of its growth. Each chamber is sealed off as the creature moves forward, and together they form a spiral staircase of pearl and shadow. If you trace that spiral mathematically, you'd find the golden ratio guiding every turn. If you've ever held a seashell to your ear and heard the ocean, you are holding geometry in your hand. Many shells, whelks, conches, snail shells, grow in logarithmic spirals that approximate the golden ratio. They start small and expand outward, always keeping the same proportional shape, the way your own body keeps its proportions as you grow. Flower petals often come in numbers related to the golden ratio. Lilies have 3 petals. Buttercups have 5. Delphiniums have 8. Marigolds have 13. Asters have 21. These numbers are part of a sequence where each number is the sum of the 2 before it. And as the sequence continues, the ratio between consecutive numbers approaches the golden ratio. Nature counts in her own way. The spiral aloe plant from South Africa grows its leaves in a perfect spiral, each leaf positioned at the golden angle from the one before it. From above, the plant looks like a green galaxy, each leaf reaching outward for light in the most efficient arrangement possible. The aloe doesn't know it's beautiful, it just is. When you look at the veins in a leaf, you're seeing a branching pattern that often follows the golden ratio. The main vein divides into smaller veins, which divide into smaller ones still, and the proportions between them maintain that same gentle rhythm. It's how the leaf delivers water and nutrients to every cell, quietly, without any fuss. In the human body too, your body, resting here now, the golden ratio appears. The proportion of your forearm to your hand to your fingers, even the chambers of your heart, all echo this pattern. You are made of the same mathematics as seashells and sunflowers. You belong to this pattern as surely as a wave belongs to the ocean. If you let your mind wander to a field of wheat swaying in the wind, you might notice how the seed heads spiral. Each grain is positioned to maximize space, and together they create a gentle curve that follows the golden ratio. The wheat has no awareness of this. It simply grows toward the sun. Spider webs, those delicate structures that catch morning dew and light, sometimes spiral according to the golden ratio. The spider begins at the center and moves outward in a widening curve, spacing each thread to create the strongest, most efficient trap. The web trembles in the breeze, a spiral of silk holding the geometry of flowers. Before you drift off to sleep tonight, perhaps you'll leave a comment below and share what part of nature brings you the most peace. And if this story is helping you relax, a gentle like would mean the world. There's no pressure, of course, just an invitation to be part of this quiet community. The golden ratio is everywhere, but you don't need to look for it. It's enough to know that the world around you is gently, consistently beautifully patterned, that there's an order beneath the wildness, that even in chaos there's a soft spiral leading you home. Breathe in, breathe out, and let yourself rest in this knowledge, as simple and certain as the curve of a fern uncurling in the morning light. The spiral continues just as your breath continues, in and out, soft and steady. Tonight, we're moving deeper into this pattern, this gentle mathematics that nature has written into everything. But there's no need to concentrate. Just let the words wash over you like a warm breeze, like the softest rain on leaves. You're safe here. You're held. If you've ever watched a falcon dive from the sky, you've seen the golden ratio in motion. The bird tucks its wings and falls in a spiral, adjusting its path with the smallest movements. That spiral descent follows the same curve as a nautilus shell, the same curve as a galaxy. The falcon doesn't think about it. Its body simply knows the most efficient path through air. In the heart of a Romanesco broccoli, that strange, beautiful vegetable, you'll find spirals within spirals within spirals. Each tiny floret is a miniature version of the whole, and they arrange themselves in patterns that echo the golden ratio. It's fractal, meaning the pattern repeats at every scale. You could look closer and closer and keep finding the same gentle spiral. The hurricane's eye, that calm center surrounded by spinning winds, sits at the heart of a golden spiral. While the storm rages in its outer bands, the center remains still and quiet, the way your mind can remain still even when the world outside is busy. There's always a center. There's always calm. Aloe vera leaves, those thick and healing plants that grow in sunny places, arrange themselves in spirals that maximize their exposure to light. Each leaf emerges from the center at an angle that prevents it from shadowing the one below. The plant reaches for the sun in the most graceful way possible, and the golden ratio guides it. If you look at the branching of a tree from below, lying on your back in soft grass, you'll see how the limbs divide and subdivide. The ratio of the trunk to the first branches and the first branches to the second often approximates the golden ratio. The tree builds itself like a cathedral, strong and balanced, without blueprints or plans. River deltas, where water spreads out into many channels before meeting the sea, often branch in patterns that echo the golden ratio. The water finds its path, dividing and dividing again, each channel smaller than the one before. From above, a delta looks like the veins of a leaf, like the branches of a tree. Water remembers this pattern. The cochlea in your inner ear, that tiny spiral structure that allows you to hear, follows a logarithmic spiral close to the golden ratio. Sound waves travel through this spiral, and your brain translates them into music, into voices, into the rustle of leaves. The architecture of hearing is shaped like a seashell. When you see a tendril of a grapevine curling around a trellis, watch how it spirals. The vine reaches out and finds support, wrapping itself in a curve that gives it strength and flexibility. That curve, gentle and persistent, often follows the same proportions we've been exploring. The vine climbs without hurry, knowing exactly how to hold on. In the arrangement of seeds in a strawberry, those tiny yellow dots on the red surface, you'll find spirals moving in two directions. The strawberry didn't decide where to place each seed. The pattern emerged naturally, efficiently, beautifully. You can eat the strawberry and taste the sweetness, without ever thinking about the mathematics hidden in its skin. The golden ratio appears in the proportions of your face, the distance from your chin to your nose compared to the distance from your nose to your eyebrows, the width of your mouth compared to the width of your nose. These proportions aren't the same for everyone, but when they approach the golden ratio, we tend to find them harmonious. You are geometry made flesh. If you've ever watched honey drip from a spoon, you've seen it spiral as it falls. The golden ribbon of honey twists in the air, following a path that minimizes energy, that flows with the least resistance. Honey remembers the patterns of the flowers it came from, the spirals of petals, the curves of blooms. Cactus spines often arrange themselves in spirals around the plant's body. The spines emerge in rows that wind upward, each one positioned to provide the most protection and shade. The cactus stands in the desert heat, armored in golden spirals, patient and still. Before you drift further, remember you can explore more of these peaceful stories in our playlist. Whenever you need rest, whenever the world feels too loud, these stories will be here, waiting like old friends. And if you're finding peace here tonight, I Like helps others find this quiet place too. The spiral of a sheep's horn grows throughout the animal's life, each year adding to the curve. The horn spirals outward and backward, following a path that's strong and balanced. The ram stands on the mountainside, crowned in mathematics, looking out over valleys filled with evening light. In the petals of a rose as they unfurl, you'll find the golden ratio guiding their arrangement. Each petal overlaps the one before it at just the right angle, creating that perfect, layered beauty that has inspired poets for thousands of years. The rose doesn't bloom for admiration. It blooms because blooming is what roses do. The way a dolphin leaps from the water, arcing through the air, traces a curve that approximates the golden ratio. The dolphin's body is shaped for efficiency, for grace, for moving through water with the least effort. When it jumps, it follows the same elegant mathematics that shapes seashells and galaxies. Lightning, when it branches across the sky, often divides in patterns that echo the golden ratio. The main bolt splits into smaller forks, which split into smaller ones still. It happens in an instant, but the pattern is there, that same branching we see in trees, in rivers, in the veins of leaves. Even electricity follows this ancient pattern. If you place your hand flat and look at your fingers, the length of each bone segment relates to the next by ratios that approximate the golden number. Your pinky finger, your ring finger, your middle finger. Each joint divides the finger in proportions that feel just right. Your hands are tools shaped by the same mathematics that shapes flowers. The moon snail, moving slowly across the ocean floor, creates a spiral shell as it grows. Inside that shell, chambers increase in size according to the golden ratio. The snail carries its home on its back, a home built according to the oldest architecture in nature, the same architecture that built your body, that built the stars. Unfurling fiddlehead ferns in a damp forest, all spiraling open at slightly different speeds, create a field of golden curves. Some are tight coils still, some halfway open, some fully unfurled into fronds. Together they make a landscape of spirals, each one following the same patient path from center to edge. The golden ratio is sometimes called the divine proportion, but there's nothing mystical about it. It's simply the solution to a practical problem. how to grow, how to branch, how to spiral outward in a way that's efficient and strong. Nature solved this problem billions of years ago, and the solution is still here, in every sunflower, in every wave. Breathe slowly now. Let your body be heavy. The pattern holds you. The spiral continues. And you are exactly where you need to be. The world is still spiraling softly around you, even as you rest here in stillness. There's something deeply comforting about patterns, isn't there? About knowing that beneath the seeming randomness of nature, there's a gentle order, not a rigid one, not a harsh one, but something as soft as the curve of a wave, as natural as breathing. That's what we're exploring together tonight, this quiet architecture that holds everything. Let your eyes close if they haven't already. Let your mind wander through these images like walking through a garden at twilight, where everything is soft edges and gentle shapes. In the arrangement of leaves around a stem, something botanists call phyllotaxis, you'll often find the golden angle at work. This is approximately 137.5 degrees, the angle that relates most closely to the golden ratio. When a plant spaces its leaves at this angle, each leaf gets maximum sunlight without blocking the others. The plant reaches up toward the sky in a spiral staircase of green. If you've ever held a pine cone and tried to count the spirals, you might have found yourself confused because there seem to be spirals going in both directions. Count the clockwise spirals and you might get 8. Count the counterclockwise spirals and you might get 13. These numbers, 8 and 13, are neighbors in that special sequence, where each number is the sum of the two before it, and they relate through the golden ratio. The calla lily, with its single elegant petal that curves around the central spike, follows a logarithmic spiral. The petal wraps around in a shape that's both shelter and invitation, protecting the flower's center while opening to pollinators. That curve is the golden ratio made visible in white or yellow, smooth as silk. In the growth rings of a tree, you can sometimes see spirals in the way the wood grain curves around knots and irregularities. The tree grows outward from its center, adding a new ring each year, and the patterns in the wood remember every storm, every drought, every season of plenty. The spiral is a record of time, written in golden proportions. Butterflies, when they emerge from their chrysalis, unfold wings that often display patterns arranged according to the golden ratio. The spots on a peacock butterfly's wings, the scales on a monarch's orange canvas, these aren't random. They're positioned for maximum visual impact, for signaling, for survival. Beauty and mathematics are the same thing in a butterfly's wing. The spiral of a snail's shell protects the soft body inside, while allowing the snail to grow throughout its life. As the snail gets bigger, it simply adds to the opening of its shell, and the proportions remain constant. The spiral grows, but never changes its essential shape. It's a home that expands without ever needing renovation. In the curled tips of ocean waves, just before they break, you can see the golden spiral frozen for a moment. Surfers know this curve intimately. They ride inside it, inside that perfect tunnel of water that's shaped by physics and mathematics. The wave has been forming this same shape since oceans first began to move. If you enjoy these gentle explorations of nature's patterns, you might want to leave a comment sharing your favorite spiral in nature. Perhaps a memory of a seashell you found, or a fern you noticed in the forest. your thoughts are always welcome here, in this quiet corner of the internet. The human ear, seen from the side, spirals inward in a shape that echoes the golden ratio. That curve of cartilage isn't just decorative. It helps funnel sound waves toward your eardrum. Your body is designed with the same efficiency as a nautilus shell, the same grace as an unfurling fern. Clematis tendrils, those thin reaching arms of the climbing plant, spiral around whatever support they find. Once they make contact with a trellis or a fence, they curl in both directions, creating a spring-like coil that gives strength and flexibility. The plant holds on with golden spirals, patient and persistent, through wind and rain. In the seed head of a spent dandelion, that sphere of white fluff waiting for the wind, the seeds are arranged in spirals that maximize packing efficiency. When you blow on a dandelion and watch the seeds float away, you're dismantling a sphere built on the golden ratio. Each seed spirals through the air, carried by its own tiny parachute, following the wind to new ground. The spiral arms of the Andromeda Galaxy, our nearest large galactic neighbor, curve outward in golden spirals. Stars by the billions move in these great sweeping arcs, taking millions of years to complete a single rotation. And yet, the pattern is the same as a seashell, as a flower, as the curl of your ear. If you look closely at a cauliflower, particularly the Romanesco variety, you'll see that each bump is itself a miniature cauliflower. And each of those has even smaller bumps that are also miniature cauliflowers. The pattern repeats at every scale, spiraling inward and outward simultaneously, following the golden ratio in all directions at once. It's dizzying and peaceful at the same time. Seahorses curve their bodies into spirals that approximate the golden ratio. These gentle creatures, floating upright in ocean currents, are themselves living spirals. They hold on to seagrass with their curled tails, anchoring themselves against the water's movement, their entire bodies shaped like a question mark, like the curve of a wave. The horns of bighorn sheep, rams in particular, spiral outward from their heads in impressive curves. These horns grow throughout the animal's life, adding material each year, and the spiral maintains its proportions as it expands. The ram carries this weight with ease, crowned like an ancient king, standing on mountain slopes where the air is thin and clean. In the throat of a morning glory flower, the petals twist in a spiral as they emerge from the center. The flower opens at dawn, unfurling along this golden curve, and closes again by afternoon. Each day, the same spiral, the same patient blooming, the same gentle closing as the sun moves across the sky. The spiral of a chameleon's tail, curled tight when the animal rests, follows a logarithmic curve. The chameleon can tighten or loosen this spiral as needed, using its tail for balance and grip. The tail remembers how to curl, how to hold, shaped by millions of years into this perfect coil. If you've ever seen frost patterns on a window in winter, you might have noticed spirals forming in the ice. Water freezing follows the path of least resistance, and sometimes that path is a spiral. The frost grows in feathers and ferns and spirals, all following the same deep patterns that guide flowers and galaxies. If this story is bringing you peace tonight, a gentle like helps the algorithm share this calm with others who might need it. There's a whole playlist of these soothing explorations waiting for you whenever sleep feels far away. But there's no hurry. Rest is always here when you need it. The golden ratio isn't a rule that nature follows. It's more like a path that nature discovers over and over again in different places, in different forms. It's the solution that works, the shape that's strong, the curve that's most efficient. And efficiency in nature often looks like beauty. Your DNA, the spiral staircase inside every cell of your body, is shaped like a double helix. While the exact proportions vary, the overall form, two spirals winding around each other, echoes the same patterns we see in climbing vines, in spiral galaxies, in the shells on the beach. You are made of spirals all the way down to your smallest parts. Let yourself sink deeper now. The patterns are all around you, holding you, supporting you, like water holds a floating leaf. You don't need to understand them. You don't need to remember them. Just let them be there, like a lullaby you've always known, like the rhythm of your own heartbeat, steady and sure. The spiral keeps turning, gentle and endless, like the wheel of seasons, like the curve of time itself. You're doing beautifully. Just breathing, just resting, just allowing these images to drift through your mind like clouds across a summer sky. There's nowhere you need to be, nothing you need to do. The world outside can wait. Here, in this quiet space, there's only the soft unfolding of patterns, the gentle mathematics of peace. In the cross-section of an apple, when you slice it horizontally through the middle, you'll find a star shape formed by the seed chambers. The way these chambers radiate from the center, the proportions of the star, often relate to the golden ratio. Every apple you've ever eaten held this secret star inside, this pattern waiting to be discovered. The spiral of a hawk as it rides a thermal updraft, circling higher and higher without flapping its wings, follows an efficient curve upward. The bird feels the warm air rising and simply lets it carry her, spiraling in widening circles toward the clouds. She's not thinking about mathematics. She's just riding the invisible spiral of warm air, trusting what her wings know. In the branching patterns of your own lungs, air passages divide and subdivide in ratios that approximate the golden number. Your bronchi split into smaller bronchi, which split into smaller ones still, all the way down to the tiny air sacs where oxygen meets blood. You've been breathing through golden spirals your entire life, every breath a journey through this ancient architecture. The spiral of a violin scroll, that decorative curl at the end of the instrument's neck, is often carved to follow the golden ratio. Luthiers have known for centuries that this proportion pleases the eye, that it creates a sense of balance and grace. The violin sings, and even its silent parts remember the spirals of seashells. If you've ever watched a cat curl up to sleep, you've seen a living creature fold itself into a spiral. The cat tucks its nose toward its tail, curves its spine, and becomes a circle of warmth and fur. This instinctive position conserves heat and protects vulnerable organs. Even sleep follows the curve of efficiency. In the arrangement of florets in a sunflower's center, there are typically two sets of spirals, one going clockwise, one counterclockwise. These spirals are almost always in consecutive numbers from that special sequence, 21 and 34, or 34 and 55, or 55 and 89. The larger the sunflower, the higher the numbers, but the relationship between them remains constant, always approaching the golden ratio. The chambered nautilus adds a new chamber to its shell approximately every month. Each chamber is sealed off with a wall of pearly nacre, and the Nautilus moves into the larger, newer chamber at the opening. The sealed chambers remain filled with gas, helping the creature control its buoyancy as it drifts through deep waters lit by bioluminescence in the darkness. Passion flower vines climb by spiraling around supports, and the flower itself displays radial symmetry, with parts often arranged in groups of 3 or 5, numbers from that golden sequence. The passion flower is baroque and complex, with layers of petals and structures, each positioned according to these same gentle proportions. Tree ferns in the rainforest unfurl their fronds in spirals that can be taller than a person. As you walk beneath them, looking up, you see these huge spirals of green, still partly coiled at the tips, opening toward the scattered light that filters through the canopy. Each frond remembers how to spiral, encoded in the plant's very being. Your fingerprints, those unique whirls and loops and arches, often spiral according to patterns related to the golden ratio. No two fingerprints are exactly alike, but most follow similar mathematical principles in how they curve and flow. You carry these spirals on your fingertips, marking everything you touch with patterns older than humanity itself. Perhaps now is a good moment to pause and breathe deeply. If you've been finding comfort in these stories, you might consider subscribing to the channel, so these peaceful moments can find you again whenever you need them, but only if it feels right. There's no pressure here, only invitation. The spiral of a tornado, and we speak of it only as a shape, not as danger, follows a logarithmic curve. The funnel narrows as it descends from the cloud, spiraling faster and faster toward its point. It's the same mathematical shape as a nautilus shell, as a galaxy, stretched vertical instead of horizontal. Nature uses the same patterns in vastly different ways. In the growth pattern of a palm tree, new fronds emerge from the central crown in a spiral arrangement. Each frond grows out at an angle from the last, and as older fronds die and fall away, the spiral continues upward. The palm grows toward the sun in a patient spiral that might continue for decades, even centuries. The golden ratio appears in the proportions of the Great Pyramid of Giza, though whether this was intentional or coincidental remains debated. What's clear is that humans have long recognized something pleasing about these proportions, something that feels balanced and right. We build with the same intuitions that guide flowers and shells. In the curve of a horse's neck as it arches, in the sweep of its tail, you can see echoes of the golden spiral. Horses have been shaped by millions of years of evolution to be efficient runners, and efficiency often manifests as grace. When a horse gallops, its entire body becomes a study in curves and spirals, power channeled through beautiful forms. The spiral of cream stirred into coffee, those white tendrils curling through the dark liquid, follow the physics of fluid dynamics in ways that approximate the golden spiral. The cream doesn't mix immediately. It spirals and dances first, creating temporary patterns before dissolving into brown. It's a small daily reminder of these patterns, right there in your morning cup. If you slice a kiwi fruit horizontally, you'll see a beautiful sunburst pattern radiating from the center. The seeds are arranged in rows that spiral outward, and the proportions of these spirals relate to, you can guess by now, the golden ratio. The kiwi holds this pattern in green and white and gold, sweet and tart on your tongue. ammonites, those ancient fossils that once lived in spiral shells, show the golden ratio preserved in stone. These creatures went extinct millions of years ago, but their shells remain, turned to rock, still holding the same proportions they had when the creatures were alive and swimming in prehistoric seas. The spiral outlasts the life that made it. In the branching of lightning across the sky, you see the same patterns as in trees, as in rivers, as in the bronchi of your lungs. The electricity finds the path of least resistance, splitting and splitting again. And that path follows ratios we've seen again and again. Lightning writes the golden ratio across the sky in light. The spiral of a climbing honeysuckle winding around a fence post or a young tree follows the golden angle as it climbs. Each loop of the vine positions itself to maximize sun exposure to avoid shadowing its own leaves. The honeysuckle climbs patiently, sweetly scented, spiraling toward the light. Your heartbeat, the spiral chambers of your heart, the rhythm of blood moving through your body, these follow patterns of efficiency and strength. The heart is a spiral pump, pushing blood through spiraling vessels, sustaining you with every beat. The pattern holds you. The pattern keeps you alive. Rest now. Let the spirals hold you. Let the pattern support you, like water supports a shell, like air supports a hawk. You are part of this. You belong here. Everything spirals, and in spiraling, everything finds its way home. You're halfway through this journey now, though there's no need to count or measure. Time can be soft here, stretching and curling like a fern frond, like the tendril of a vine. Just continue breathing, continue resting, continue letting these gentle truths wash over you like the smallest waves on the quietest shore. In the petals of a lotus flower rising from muddy water, you'll find the golden ratio in the spacing and arrangement of those perfect pink or white petals. The lotus has been a symbol of enlightenment for thousands of years, perhaps because there's something in its proportions that speaks to our deepest sense of harmony. The flower opens at dawn, following the sun, then closes at dusk, each petal returning to its place. The spiral of a spider's web, when the spider builds an orb web, begins at the center and curves outward in an elegant logarithmic spiral. The spider spaces each ring of silk to maximize the area covered while using the least material. Dewdrops collect on the spiral in the morning, making visible this geometry of survival that hangs between tree branches. In the shell of a garden snail making its slow journey across a leaf, you can see the same proportions as in the shell of a nautilus from the deep ocean. Size doesn't matter. The spiral scales up and down while maintaining its proportions. A snail no bigger than your thumbnail carries the same mathematics as a shell the size of your fist. The golden ratio appears in the proportions of many bones in the human skeleton. The ratio of your upper arm to your forearm, your thigh to your lower leg, your hand to your fingers. These often approximate the golden number. You are built according to principles that have shaped life for millions of years, a walking expression of nature's favorite proportions. If you've ever seen a photograph of a cyclone from space, those vast spirals of cloud that spin over warm ocean water, you've seen the golden ratio at planetary scale. The storm spirals because of the Earth's rotation, because of temperature differences, because of physical laws that have been operating since the planet first formed. The spiral is inevitable, written into the way air moves. In the arrangement of florets in a cauliflower's head, those bumpy white or purple clusters, you'll find spirals within spirals. Each floret is positioned at the golden angle from the one before it, and each floret is itself made of smaller florets, which are themselves made of even smaller florets. It's fractal, the pattern repeating at every level you look. The curve of a dolphin's back as it leaps from the water, that arc between ocean and sky, approximates the golden spiral. Dolphins are shaped by evolution to move through water with minimal resistance, and that shaping produces these beautiful curves. When they play, when they leap for joy, they trace mathematics in the air. Before you drift deeper into rest, remember that you're always welcome to share your thoughts below. What patterns in nature bring you peace? What spirals have you noticed? And if these stories help you find sleep, a like tells others where to find this quiet place. But there's no obligation, only an open door. The spiral of a chameleon's tongue as it shoots out to catch an insect happens too fast for the eye to see. But high-speed photography reveals that even this lightning-quick action follows a curved path. The tongue spirals slightly as it extends, giving it accuracy and power. Even in speed, the spiral remains. In the growth rings of a fallen log, decomposing slowly on the forest floor, you can see the record of every year the tree lived. Sometimes these rings are evenly spaced, sometimes closer together during drought years. The pattern spirals from the center outward, and fungi and insects in time slowly reclaim the wood, returning it to the earth that grew it. The arrangement of scales on a pine cone, you can pick one up and feel them with your fingers, forms two sets of spirals. Run your finger along the scales, and you'll trace one spiral. Run your finger the other direction, and you'll trace another spiral, going the opposite way. The pine cone is patient geometry, seeds held in a pattern that's millions of years old. In the curl of an ocean wave viewed from underwater, from a surfer's perspective looking up through the tube, the water forms a translucent spiral of blue and green and white. Light filters through the curving water, and for a moment, there's this perfect tunnel, this moving spiral that the surfer rides through before it collapses into foam, the spiral of a whirlpool in a stream where water flows around a rock or through a narrow gap, spins in a curve determined by the speed of the water and the shape of the obstacle. Leaves and bubbles get caught in these whirlpools, spinning around and around in diminishing circles until they're drawn down or released downstream. Flower buds, before they open, are often spirally arranged, packed tight in a protective covering. Watch a rosebud open in time-lapse, and you'll see the petals unfurl in a spiral sequence, each one revealing the next, like a secret slowly shared. The rose doesn't hurry. It opens in its own time, following the pattern written in its cells. The hair whirls on the top of a horse's head or a cow's forehead, spiral outward from a central point. These whirls form when the animal is still developing in the womb, and they remain for life, marking where hair decided to spiral rather than lie flat. Every animal with a whirl carries a small spiral crown. In the cross-section of a banana, if you slice it horizontally, you'll see a pattern that some people say looks like a smile. The arrangement of the three sections inside the banana peel relates to the golden ratio in subtle ways, though mostly you just notice the sweetness, the soft texture, the way the fruit curves to fit your hand. The spiral of galaxies, not just our Milky Way or Andromeda, but millions of galaxies throughout the universe, all follow this same logarithmic curve. Some are face-on to us, showing their full spiral clearly. Others are edge-on, appearing as thin lines of light. But all of them spin, all of them spiral, all of them follow the same mathematics. When you crack open a walnut and look at the brain-like surface of the nut inside, those wrinkles and folds often arrange themselves in patterns related to the golden ratio. It's oddly fitting that a nut that looks like a brain should follow the same proportions as the brain inside your head, the same patterns as the branching neurons that let you think these thoughts. The spiral of a fiddlehead fern is sometimes called a crozier because it resembles the ceremonial staff carried by bishops and abbots, a staff that's topped with a spiral. Whether the church borrowed from nature or nature was always there first, the spiral has meant something to humans for as long as we've been able to see patterns. Your intestines, coiled within your abdomen, spiral and fold in ways that maximize surface area while fitting into a limited space. Miles of digestive tract curl inside you, following patterns of efficiency that have been refined over millions of years of evolution. You are full of spirals, even in places you never see. Let your breathing spiral down now, deeper and slower, like a leaf falling from a tree, spinning gently as it descends. There's no hurry. There's all the time in the world. The pattern will hold you as you fall into sleep, as you spiral down into dreams. The spiral deepens, like twilight deepening into night, like roots growing deeper into earth. You're resting now in the heart of these patterns, surrounded by them, made of them. Every breath you take moves through spirals in your lungs. Every beat of your heart pumps blood through spiraling vessels. You are geometry and water and light, all held together in this soft, living form. Let's continue our quiet exploration. In the shell of an abalone, that ear-shaped shell with its pearlescent interior, the proportions often approach the golden ratio. The shell is flat and spiraling at the same time, growing larger at the opening while maintaining its overall shape. People have used abalone shells as vessels, as jewelry, as objects of beauty, drawn to proportions that feel right, even if they can't say why. The way a cat's whiskers fan out from its face follows a pattern that maximizes sensory information. Each whisker is positioned to detect movement, pressure, texture in the air and on surfaces. The arrangement isn't random, it's efficient, functional, and it follows proportions we've been discovering throughout the night. In the growth of antlers on deer, elk, and moose, the branches emerge at angles that relate to the golden ratio. The antlers grow quickly in spring and summer, covered in velvet, branching upward and outward. When the velvet is shed in fall, the antlers are revealed in their full geometry, weapons and signals made of bone, grown according to ancient instructions. If you've ever held a sand dollar, that flat circular skeleton of a sea urchin, you might have noticed the 5-petaled flower pattern on its surface. This 5-fold symmetry relates to the golden ratio through that special sequence of numbers. The sand dollar rests on the ocean floor, slowly moving through sand, its body a mandala of calcium. The spiral of a tornado rose, a fossilized barite formation that looks like a flower made of stone, forms in desert sand through crystallization processes. These mineral roses are real geological formations, and their petals arrange themselves in spirals, stone remembering the patterns of flowers, minerals growing like living things. In the branching of neurons in your brain, the connections between cells follow patterns similar to tree branches, to river deltas, to lightning. These patterns maximize connectivity while minimizing the distance signals have to travel. Your thoughts move through branching pathways that follow the same mathematics as trees reaching for sunlight. The spiral of a curled-up millipede, protecting its soft underside by coiling into a tight circle, follows a logarithmic curve. The millipede has hundreds of legs, each segment of its body carrying two pairs, and when it coils up, it becomes a living spring. When danger passes, it slowly uncoils, returning to its elongated form. Your eyelashes curve in spirals, each lash growing from your eyelid in a gentle arc that protects your eye from dust and debris. They grow, fall out, and grow again throughout your life, following cycles and curves that have been refined over millions of years. Even these small details follow the patterns. If you've been finding peace in these explorations, you might enjoy the other stories in our playlist. Each one a gentle journey through different aspects of nature. They're here whenever you need them, like old friends waiting patiently. And your likes help create a community of people seeking rest, seeking peace in the patterns of the natural world. The spiral of a snail's trail, that silvery path it leaves behind on concrete or leaves, shows where it's been. The snail moves slowly, methodically, laying down mucus that helps it glide forward. The path it takes isn't straight. It curves and meanders, following the snail's search for food or shelter. Every trail is unique, but all of them curve according to how snails move, how they perceive the world. In the arrangement of seeds in a papaya, when you slice it open, you'll find they cluster in the center in patterns that maximize space. The black seeds contrast with the orange flesh, and their arrangement, while appearing random, follows the same principles as sunflower seeds or strawberry seeds: efficiency and growth encoded in position. The way a river meanders across a flat plain, curving back and forth in great loops, follows mathematical principles related to the golden ratio. The river cuts into the outer bank of each curve and deposits sediment on the inner bank, gradually moving the curve downstream. Over centuries, a river can write spirals across the landscape. In the shell of a turbaned snail, thick and heavy and spiraling, you find a structure strong enough to withstand crashing waves. These snails live in intertidal zones where the ocean pounds against rocks, and their shells need to be fortresses. The spiral gives them strength. It distributes force. It protects the soft body inside. It grows with the animal throughout its life. The spiral of smoke rising from a candle flame or a campfire doesn't stay straight for long. It begins to curl and twist, forming spirals and vortices as it rises through cooler air. The smoke drifts upward in these elegant curves, visible for a moment before dispersing into invisibility, carrying the scent of wood or wax. In the growth pattern of a succulent plant like echeveria, the leaves form a perfect rosette when viewed from above. Each leaf emerges at the golden angle from the last, creating a spiral that's so symmetrical, so perfect, it almost doesn't look real. But it is real. It's just nature being efficient, being beautiful, being itself. The spiral of a cinnamon stick, that curled bark from a tropical tree, holds sweetness and warmth. The bark is harvested, dried, and naturally curls into these tight scrolls. When you grate it or steep it in hot water, You're releasing oils from a spiral of tree bark, spice that humans have treasured for thousands of years. In the curl of a breaking wave, that moment when the top of the wave pitches forward and falls, creating a tube or barrel, surfers find their cathedral. Inside that curling wave, there's a moment of perfect stillness, moving stillness, where you're enclosed in spiraling water that's both powerful and elegant. Surfers chase that moment across oceans. The golden ratio appears in the proportions of the Parthenon in ancient Athens, in Renaissance paintings, in the design of violins and guitars. Humans have recognized something pleasing about these proportions for thousands of years, and we've built them into our art and architecture. We mirror nature even in our grandest creations. Your DNA molecule, that double helix that carries all your genetic information, twists in a spiral. It's so small, you could never see it without powerful microscopes. But it's there in every cell, twisting and turning, holding the instructions for building you. You are the result of spiraling molecules, of patterns smaller than light. Let yourself spiral down now, deeper into rest, into the soft darkness behind your eyes. The patterns continue even in sleep. Your dreams might spiral too, following their own mysterious logic, their own gentle mathematics. The night deepens, and the spirals continue, quieter now, softer, like whispers in the dark. You've been here for a while now, resting in these patterns, and perhaps they're beginning to blend together, spirals of shells and galaxies, of ferns and hurricanes, all becoming one continuous curve that holds everything. That's perfect. That's exactly right. Let them blur. Let them become a soft background, like distant music, like rain on a roof. In the spiral of a morning glory vine climbing a chain-link fence, you see how plants find their way upward without eyes or brains. The vine reaches out, touches something solid, and begins to spiral around it, gripping tighter as it grows. The morning glory doesn't decide to spiral. It simply does, following instructions older than flowers. The arrangement of seeds in a pomegranate, those jewel-like orals packed tightly inside the thick rind, follows patterns of optimal packing. Each seed has its place, surrounded by others, all fitting together in a structure that protects them until the fruit is opened. The pomegranate has been cultivated for thousands of years, and its geometry remains constant. In the spiral of a ram's horn, as it curves back around the animal's head, you see strength made visible. These horns grow throughout the ram's life, thickening and curling in spirals that can weigh many pounds. The rams use them in battles during mating season, crashing them together in contests of strength. The spiral distributes the force of impact. The way waves spread out in circles from a stone dropped in still water, these circles aren't quite spirals, but they're related. The waves move outward in expanding rings, each one following the one before. Drop another stone, and the circles intersect, creating interference patterns. The water remembers every disturbance, rippling outward in circles that fade but never truly stop. In the growth pattern of a Christmas cactus or a Thanksgiving cactus, the segmented leaves cascade downward in arrangements that follow the golden angle. Each new segment emerges from the end of the previous one, positioned to maximize light exposure. The plant drapes itself over the edge of its pot in a waterfall of green segments, eventually blooming with flowers at its tips. If you'd like to drift off to sleep soon, that's perfectly fine. These stories will continue, and you can listen as long as you need. or let yourself slip away whenever you're ready. There's no right or wrong way to rest here. This space is yours. And if you find yourself returning another night, all these gentle explorations will be waiting. The spiral of a tornado viewed from a distance shows the raw power of rotating air. The funnel reaches down from dark clouds, and debris swirls around it in spirals. We speak of this only as form, not as fear. The shape itself is the same as so many other spirals, just made of wind instead of shell, of air instead of stone. In the pattern of bark on a twisted tree trunk, especially in trees like eucalyptus or bristlecone pine, you can see spirals in how the bark furrows as the tree grows. The tree twists as it grows taller, responding to wind, to weight, to the slow turning of seasons. The spiral is written in wood, in bark, in the tree's very being. The spiral of a cucumber tendril, that thin green corkscrew that the plant uses to climb, can spiral in both directions from a central point. One end spirals clockwise, the other counterclockwise, and they meet in the middle. This creates a spring-like structure that can stretch and contract, allowing the plant to move in wind without breaking. In the arrangement of bracts on a pineapple's surface, those diamond-shaped sections of rough skin, you'll find spirals going in multiple directions. The pineapple is actually a composite fruit made of many smaller fruits fused together, and their arrangement follows the golden ratio. Each eye of the pineapple is positioned according to the same mathematics as a sunflower's seeds. The spiral of a shell fragment worn smooth by ocean waves, found on a beach and turned over in your hand, still holds its curve, even though it's broken. The pattern persists, even in fragments. You can imagine the whole shell from just a piece, the spiral continuing in your mind beyond the broken edges. In the curl of a cat's tail as it walks past your leg, as it communicates contentment or curiosity, you see a living spiral that changes moment by moment. The tail is expressive, emotional, a conversation carried on through curves and angles. When the cat is happy, the tail spirals at the tip in a question mark of joy. The way frost feathers across a window pane in winter, those delicate crystals that form when humid air meets cold glass, often create spiral patterns. The ice grows in branching structures, each branch dividing and subdividing, and sometimes these branches curve into spirals as they grow. The frost is temporary. It melts when the sun rises. But while it lasts, it's a window full of geometry. In the spiral of a telephone cord after years of use, stretched and coiled and twisted, you see what happens when a spiral lives a long life of service. The cord remembers every time it was stretched, every conversation held while pacing. Human-made spirals eventually wear out, but natural spirals regenerate, grow, repair themselves. The spiral of a screw thread, that metal spiral that allows screws to bite into wood or metal, is humanity's use of spiral geometry for practical purposes. We've learned from nature that spirals are strong, that they can move things like water through an Archimedes screw, that they can hold things together. Your cochlea, that spiral structure in your inner ear where sound becomes meaning, is shaped like a snail shell. Sound waves travel through fluid in this spiral, and different frequencies stimulate different parts of the spiral's length. High pitches affect the base of the spiral, low pitches the tip. You hear through a golden spiral. In the way a rope frays at the end, the fibers untwist into smaller and smaller spirals until they're individual threads. The rope is many spirals twisted together for strength, and when it begins to fail, it unravels in the reverse of how it was made. Spiral to spiral, order to disorder, tight to loose. The spiral of a curled shaving of chocolate, made by pulling a vegetable peeler across the surface of a chocolate bar, creates a perfect edible spiral. The chocolate curls naturally as it's peeled, following the physical properties of the material. You can arrange these chocolate spirals on a cake, decorating with mathematics. In the growth rings visible in a slice of agate or onyx, those beautiful stones with layers of color, you can see how minerals were deposited over millions of years. The layers follow curves and spirals, each one recording a moment in deep time. The stone holds geology, holds time, holds patterns in its crystalline structure. Your fingerprints remain unchanged throughout your life. The spirals and whorls you were born with are the same ones you'll carry until the end. They mark you as unique as yourself, as distinct from every other person who has ever lived. Your spirals are yours alone. Rest now in these spirals. Let them hold you the way a shell holds the sea's echo, the way a galaxy holds its stars. You are held. You are safe. You are part of the pattern, deeper still, like roots reaching down through layers of soil, like water seeping through stone. The world is spiraling slowly, gently, and you're spiraling with it, turning inward toward rest, toward the quiet center where all these patterns meet. There's a stillness at the heart of every spiral. Did you know that? The hurricane's eye, the center of the galaxy, the point from which the nautilus shell begins. Everything spirals outward from stillness. In the curve of a banana as it grows on the tree, reaching upward against gravity, you see a shape that's become so familiar, you might not notice it's a spiral. The banana curves toward the light, and as it ripens, that curve remains. The bunch of bananas hanging from the tree is made of many curved individuals, all reaching upward together. The spiral of a waterspout, a tornado over water, draws ocean water up into the sky in a rotating column. From a distance, it's almost beautiful, this connection between water and cloud, this spiral that reaches from one element to another. The waterspout is rare, temporary, a phenomenon that appears and disappears within hours. In the shell of a conch, that large pink spiral that tropical beaches occasionally offer up, you find a structure both delicate and strong. The conch can live for decades, and its shell grows with it, always maintaining the same proportions, the same curve. People have used conch shells as horns, blowing into them to create deep, resonant sounds that carry across water. The spiral of a drill bit, those helical grooves that allow it to bore into wood or metal while pulling away the debris, is an engineered solution to a practical problem. But the solution, a spiral, is the same one nature found millions of years ago. We're always learning from these patterns, always finding new ways to apply them. In the arrangement of leaves on a Brussels sprout stalk, those little cabbage-like buds that grow in spirals up the stem, you see the golden angle at work again. Each sprout emerges at approximately 137.5 degrees from the one below it, spiraling up the stalk in a column of green. The Brussels sprout is patient mathematics you can steam and eat. The way a flock of starlings moves through the sky at dusk, a phenomenon called a murmuration, sometimes creates spiral patterns. Thousands of birds moving as one, swooping and turning in coordinated waves. The patterns aren't planned, but emerge from simple rules each bird follows. Stay close to your neighbors, move in the same direction, avoid collisions. From these simple rules, spirals emerge. If you're still here, still listening, thank you for sharing this quiet time. Your presence matters. And if you feel moved to share your thoughts in a comment, perhaps a memory of a spiral that stayed with you, a shell you found, a plant you noticed, I'd love to hear from you. This is a gentle community of people seeking rest. The spiral of a wood shaving curling up from a plane as a carpenter smooths a board, that thin ribbon of wood that springs away from the blade, is a temporary spiral. It will be swept up and discarded, but for a moment it's beautiful. Golden wood curled into a perfect spiral, smelling of cedar or pine or oak. In the growth of a mushroom's gills, those thin vertical plates under the cap where spores are produced, you sometimes find spiral arrangements. The mushroom emerges from the ground or from rotting wood, unfurls its cap, and those gills are positioned for maximum spore dispersal. The mushroom is the fruit of a vast underground network of mycelium. The spiral of a fossilized ammonite embedded in limestone, discovered on a rocky beach or in a quarry, is a spiral preserved in stone for millions of years. The creature that lived in that shell is gone, but the pattern remains. You can hold time in your hand when you hold a fossil. Hold proof that spirals have existed far longer than humans. In the way a snake coils itself for warmth or for striking, you see a living spiral that can tighten or loosen at will. The snake is pure efficiency, pure muscle and scale and instinct. When it strikes, it uncorks like a spring. When it rests, it becomes a perfect coil, a spiral of stillness. The spiral of a paper nautilus shell, technically not a true nautilus but a species of octopus, is thin and delicate, almost translucent. The female of the species creates this shell to protect her eggs, and she carries it with her through the ocean. The shell is temporary, abandoned once the eggs hatch. The spiral serves its purpose and is left behind. In the arrangement of kernels on an ear of corn, you'll find spirals running in two directions along the cob. The kernels are packed in rows that curve around the cob's surface, and if you count them, you'll often find numbers from that special sequence. The corn has been cultivated by humans for thousands of years, but the pattern remains wild and mathematical. The spiral of a snail's operculum, that hard plate it uses to seal the opening of its shell when it retreats inside, is often itself a spiral. It fits perfectly into the shell's opening, creating a door that protects the snail from predators and from drying out. The operculum grows as the snail grows, always matching the shell's expanding aperture. In the curl of a leaf damaged by insects or disease, you might see spirals forming as the leaf tissue grows unevenly. The leaf curls to protect its damaged parts, or simply because the cells on one side grow faster than the other. Nature improvises, and even in damage, patterns emerge. The way a ribbon curls when you run it across the blade of scissors, that party trick that creates spirals of color, works because you're stretching one side of the ribbon more than the other. The ribbon curls toward the unstretched side, forming spirals. It's the same principle as the fiddlehead fern, as a curling leaf. Differential growth creating curves. In the spiral of a galaxy seen edge-on, appearing as a line of light with a bulge in the middle, you can imagine the spiral turned sideways. You're seeing billions of stars from an angle that compresses their spiral into a straight line. but they're still spiraling, still turning in their ancient orbital dance. Your intestinal villi, those tiny finger-like projections that increase the surface area of your intestines, are arranged in patterns that maximize absorption. They line your intestines in patterns related to efficiency and flow. You absorb nutrients through a landscape of spirals and waves, all working without your conscious thought. The spiral of a curled autumn leaf, brown and dry, blown by wind across a parking lot or a field, is a temporary spiral. The leaf had its season of green, its months of photosynthesis, and now it returns to the earth. It curls as it dries, the edges turning inward, creating scrolls and spirals of brown and gold. In the shell of a whelk, those large marine snails that live on sandy bottoms, you find thick-walled spirals designed to withstand rough seas. The whelk is a predator, using its shell as both home and weapon. The shell is heavy, substantial, a fortress that spirals from a sharp apex to a wide opening. Let your thoughts spiral down now, deeper and deeper, like water circling a drain, like leaves falling through still air. There's a center to this spiral, a point of perfect rest, and you're moving toward it with every breath, with every slow pulse of your heart. The spiral tightens, drawing inward, finding the quiet center where everything begins. You've been traveling through these patterns for a long time now, and perhaps you're beginning to feel how they all connect, how a seashell and a galaxy are expressions of the same deep truth. The pattern is everywhere because it works, because it's strong, because it's beautiful, and you are part of it, woven into it like a thread in a vast tapestry. In the spiral of a prayer plant's leaves, as they curl up at night, you see a plant that moves, that responds to light and darkness. During the day, the leaves are flat, catching sunlight. At night, they fold upward in curls, looking almost like hands pressed together in prayer. The movement is subtle, gentle, following circadian rhythms older than flowering plants. The way a garden hose coils in its reel, spiral upon spiral, is a human attempt to impose order on a flexible line. But the hose remembers its coiling. Even when you unroll it, it wants to return to spirals. Water flows through these spirals on its way to gardens, to flowers, to vegetables growing in soil. In the shell of a moon snail, smooth and rounded and spiraling tightly, you find a structure optimized for burrowing through sand. The moon snail uses its large foot to plow through the sea floor, hunting for clams. Its shell is a perfect spiral that protects it as it moves through the shifting sands. The spiral of a whirlwind carrying dust and leaves in desert air, a dust devil spinning across dry ground, is a small tornado without the storm. It's visible because of what it carries: debris, dust, the evidence of rotation. The spiral is made of air, transparent, except for what it holds. In the arrangement of scales on a pineapple, each one positioned at the golden angle from the one before, you see a pattern that maximizes protection for the fruit developing inside. The pineapple is actually a compound fruit, dozens of individual fruits fused together, and each one had its own flower. The spirals record where those flowers were. If you've found comfort here tonight, you might consider subscribing so these stories can find you again. Each night brings a new exploration, a new gentle journey through nature's patterns, and the playlist holds many more about rain, about forests, about stars. They're here whenever you need them, like a library of peace. The spiral of a fossil fern in coal, pressed flat by millions of years of pressure and heat, shows the spiral of the fiddlehead still visible in stone. The fern lived in ancient swamps, in forests that became coal beds. Its spiral is preserved, a message from deep time that spirals persist, that patterns outlast individual lives. In the way a climbing rose sends out long canes that arch and spiral around whatever support they find, you see a plant that's learned to climb toward light. The rose doesn't have tendrils or suction cups. It simply grows long, flexible canes covered in thorns that catch and hold. The canes spiral upward, carrying flowers toward the sun. The spiral of a corkscrew, that helical metal tool used to remove corks from wine bottles, is a practical application of spiral geometry. You twist the corkscrew into the cork, and the spiral threads bite into the cork, allowing you to pull it out. The spiral provides grip, provides leverage, provides function through form. In the growth pattern of a spider lily's leaves, long and strappy and emerging from a central point, you find arrangements that follow the golden angle. Each leaf spirals slightly from the one before, creating a fountain of green that spreads out to catch light. The spider lily saves its energy and then suddenly sends up a tall stalk crowned with unusual flowers. The spiral of a rolled newspaper or magazine carried under someone's arm is a temporary human-made spiral. The paper wants to flatten, to return to its original form, but for now, it's held in this rolled shape. The spiral makes it easier to carry, easier to store, easier to handle. In the shell of a periwinkle, that small snail common on rocky shores, you find a tough little spiral that can withstand being battered by waves twice a day. Periwinkles cling to rocks during high tide and browse on algae during low tide. Their shells are often beautifully colored, brown, black, orange, yellow, and always spiraled. The way smoke from incense spirals upward in still air, creating lazy helixes that drift and disperse, is visible evidence of rising warm air. The smoke follows the thermal currents, making them visible. In temples and homes, this spiraling smoke has carried prayers and intentions upward for thousands of years. In the arrangement of petals in a passion flower, that baroque and complex bloom with layers of parts, you find spirals and radial symmetry working together. The passion flower looks artificial, too complex and structured to be natural. But it is natural. It's just nature being elaborate, being excessive, being beautiful for the sake of beauty. The spiral of a twisted tree root, exposed on a riverbank where soil has eroded away, shows the struggle and patience of growth. The tree sent roots down through obstacles, around rocks, following water. The roots twisted as they grew, creating spirals of wood underground. Now exposed, they show their age, their toughness, their spiraled journey through earth. In the curl of a cat's sleeping body, nose tucked toward tail, you see a mammal creating the most efficient shape for conserving heat. The cat becomes a circle, a spiral, a ball of fur and warmth. Inside this spiral, the cat dreams, perhaps of hunting, perhaps of sunlight, perhaps of nothing at all. The spiral of a rolled-up yoga mat, waiting to be unrolled for practice, holds potential energy. The mat wants to flatten, but it's held in this spiral by elastic bands or by its own memory. When you unroll it, the mat slowly returns to flat, though it might retain a tendency to curl at the edges. In the growth of a staghorn fern, those unusual epiphytic plants that grow on trees in tropical forests. The fronds emerge in patterns that create spirals when viewed from above. Some fronds are flat and shield-like, protecting the roots. Others are forked and spreading, catching light and rain. Together, they create a living sculpture of spirals and forks. Your aorta, the main artery carrying blood from your heart, curves in a gentle spiral as it descends through your chest. It arches, it turns, it branches, all while maintaining the pressure and flow of blood. The curve is functional, allowing the artery to flex with each heartbeat without kinking or tearing. Let the spirals soften now. Let them blur into each other like watercolors bleeding together on wet paper. Let yourself drift, spiral down into the soft darkness where dreams begin, where patterns dissolve into peace, into rest, into the quiet center where you are held and safe and home. The spiral whispers now, barely audible, like the sound of your own breathing, like the rustle of leaves in a wind so gentle you might only imagine it. We're moving toward the center now, toward that still point where all spirals begin and end. You've traveled through shells and galaxies, through flowers and storms, through the vast and the tiny, and now it's time to rest in the middle of it all, in the quiet place where patterns pause before beginning again. In the spiral of a grape tendril, that thin green thread that reaches out and wraps around whatever it touches, you see a plant's sense of touch made visible. The tendril grows straight at first, waving slowly in the air like a blind hand reaching. When it touches something solid, it spirals around it within hours, creating a spring-like coil that anchors the vine. The way a piece of paper curls when exposed to humidity on one side, moisture causing one surface to expand while the other stays dry, creates a natural curve, sometimes a spiral. Paper is made from wood pulp, from trees, and it remembers its origins. It wants to curve, wants to roll, wants to return to something like the spiral of tree growth. In the shell of a land snail, like the garden snails that emerge after rain to glide across sidewalks and leaves, you find spirals adapted for life on land rather than in water. These shells are lighter, thinner than marine snail shells, but they follow the same geometric rules. The snail carries its home, leaving silver trails that catch the light. The spiral of a cassette tape in its plastic case, for those who remember such things, was recorded and played back through spiral motion. The tape moved past magnetic heads, and music or voice was written onto it in spirals of magnetic information. The tape has mostly been replaced now, but it was once how we carried songs with us, how we made mixtapes, how we preserved sound. In the curl of a dried orange peel left on a counter or a plate, you see how the peel tightens as it loses moisture. The outer layer dries faster than the inner layer, causing the peel to curl inward, creating spirals and scrolls. The dried peel becomes fragrant, the oils concentrated, the curve permanent. The spiral of a cinnamon fern's fiddlehead, covered in cinnamon-colored fuzz when it first emerges in spring, is both beautiful and edible. Some ferns can be harvested when young, their fiddleheads steamed or sautéed. You're eating a spiral, eating potential, eating what would have become a large frond if allowed to unfurl. In the arrangement of florets in an artichoke heart, those tender layers you eat, after steaming the artichoke and pulling away the tough outer leaves, you find spirals of delicious tissue. The artichoke is actually an unopened flower bud, and the spiral arrangement you eat would have become a purple thistle-like flower if left to bloom. Perhaps you're very close to sleep now, or perhaps you're simply resting in this peaceful state between waking and sleeping. Either way, you're welcome here. These stories continue whether you're listening closely or drifting away. There's no wrong way to experience this gentle journey. The spiral of a rolled towel hung on a hook or stacked in a linen closet is a practical human arrangement. We roll towels to save space, to organize them, to make them accessible. But the spiral is ancient, and we're just using it for our own purposes, bending cloth into curves that nature first discovered in shells. In the way a snake sheds its skin, starting at the head and working backward, peeling it off in one long spiral piece, you see a process of renewal. The old skin comes away inside out, revealing fresh scales beneath. The snake leaves behind a perfect, transparent spiral of its former self, like a ghost, like memory made visible. The spiral of a tornado siren sound, that rising and falling wail that warns of danger, isn't truly a spiral, but a wave. Still, we think of it as spiraling through the air, reaching into houses and buildings, alerting people to take shelter. The sound itself is a warning, but we mention it only as acoustics, as the shape of sound waves moving through air. In the growth rings of a cedar tree, those concentric circles when you cut the tree in cross-section, you see time made visible. Each ring is a year, and sometimes you can see scars from fires, from droughts, from insect infestations. The rings spiral outward from the center, from the sapling the tree once was, recording decades or centuries of growth. The spiral of a rolled sleeping bag, compressed and strapped tight for carrying, holds the promise of rest later. The sleeping bag is insulation, warmth, comfort in portable form. When you unroll it under stars or in a tent, it expands from its spiral into a cocoon that holds you while you sleep. In the shell of a turritella, that tower-like spiral shell with many whorls, you find a snail that builds upward rather than outward. The shell is tall and thin, a spiraled tower of calcium, each chamber smaller than the one below. The turritella lives on the ocean floor, and its shell is often found fossilized in ancient seabeds, now turned to stone. The way a flag wraps around its pole in wind, spiraling around and around, is a temporary spiral created by force. The flag wants to fly free, to billow and snap, but the wind is strong enough to wrap it tight. When the wind changes, the flag unwraps, spiraling in the opposite direction, never truly free, always held by the pole. In the arrangement of seeds in a poppy pod, those tiny seeds that rattle inside when the pod dries, you find patterns of spiral distribution. When the wind shakes the dried pod, the seeds scatter through holes near the top, dispersing the poppy's offspring across the ground. The spiral arrangement ensures even distribution, gives each seed a chance to find soil. The spiral of a coiled garden snake sleeping in the sun, black scales absorbing warmth, is a common sight in summer. The snake is cold-blooded and needs external heat to function. It coils in a spiral, maximizing the surface area exposed to sunlight, warming itself before moving on to hunt or hide. In the way tree bark spirals around the trunk of some trees, especially older trees that have twisted as they grew, you see the effects of wind, of weight, of decades of small adjustments. The tree twists slowly, year by year, and the bark records this twisting in spiral patterns that climb the trunk like staircases, your veins and arteries carrying blood throughout your body spiral around each other, around bones, around organs. They're organized for efficiency, for keeping blood pressure steady, for delivering oxygen and nutrients to every cell. You are threaded through with spirals, connected by curves. The spiral is ending now, or perhaps it's just beginning again. In spirals, there's no real end, no real beginning, just continuous turning, continuous growth, continuous return to the center before spiraling out again. Rest in this knowledge. Rest in these patterns. Rest. The spiral slows now, like a spinning top losing momentum, wobbling gently towards stillness. You've been held in these patterns for so long now, cradled in mathematics, older than mountains, gentler than any lullaby. The spiral is both journey and destination, both path and home. You're very close to the center now, to that point of perfect quiet, where all spirals begin. In the spiral of a rolled map, kept in a tube or tied with string, you see humanity's attempt to understand space, to represent the world on paper. The map is flat representation of curved Earth, and we roll it into spirals for storage, for transport. When you unroll it, the map wants to curl back up, wants to return to its spiral. The way a tape measure retracts into its case, coiling back into a spiral when you press the button, is spring-loaded convenience. The tape extends in a straight line when you need to measure, then spirals back when you're done. It's a tool that lives in two states, straight and curved, moving between them with a click. In the shell of a sundial shell, that flat spiral with mottled purple and white coloring, you find a shape like a sundial laid horizontal. These shells are found on beaches in warmer waters, and their flat spiral form helps them move through sandy ocean floors. The spiral is functional, beautiful, worn smooth by waves. The spiral of a pig's tail, that cheerful curl that seems to express the animal's personality, is actually a genetic trait, a spiral written into porcine DNA. The tail curves and curls, and though it serves some function in communication and balance, mostly it's just there, a spiral for the sake of being a spiral. In the growth of an agave plant, those sharp-leaved succulents that grow in deserts and rocky places, the leaves emerge in spirals from a central point. The agave grows slowly for years or decades, then suddenly sends up a tall flowering stalk and dies. The spiral of leaves remains after death, slowly breaking down in the desert sun. The way a phone charging cable tangles itself in a drawer or a bag, creating chaotic spirals that are difficult to undo, is a reminder that not all spirals are organized. Sometimes spirals are just what happens when flexible lines are confined in space, when they're moved and jostled and left to find their own arrangements. If you're still with me, still breathing slowly in this quiet space, thank you. Your presence here matters, even if you're barely conscious now, even if you're hovering between waking and sleep. And if you'd like to return to these explorations, the playlist is always here, a collection of gentle journeys through the natural world. In the spiral of a chambered nautilus seen in cross-section, cut in half to reveal the internal chambers, you see one of nature's most perfect expressions of the golden spiral. Each chamber is sealed, filled with gas, helping the nautilus control its depth. The chambers get progressively larger but maintain the same proportional relationship. It's mathematics made flesh, made shell, made beauty. The way a spider wraps its prey in silk, spinning the captured insect around and around, creates a spiral cocoon. The prey is immobilized, preserved for later consumption. The spider's silk is stronger than steel by weight, and the spiral wrapping is efficient, using the minimum amount of silk to completely secure the meal. In the curl of a baby's fingers, when you place your finger in their palm, that reflexive grasp that closes in a spiral, you see an ancient response. The baby holds on, doesn't yet know to let go. The fingers curl in spirals, holding tight to whatever touches the palm, an instinct from when our ancestors needed to cling to their mothers to survive. The spiral of a Nautilus pompilius in the deep ocean, that ancient cephalopod with its pearly shell, represents a creature that has remained essentially unchanged for millions of years. It's sometimes called a living fossil because it resembles its fossilized ancestors so closely. The Nautilus drifts through dark water, using its shell's chambers to rise and sink, a spiral moving through liquid space. In the arrangement of quills on a porcupine's back, those thousands of sharp, barbed spines, you find patterns that maximize protection. Each quill is positioned to overlap with others, creating an impenetrable defense. The quills are positioned spirally, ensuring no gaps in armor, no way for a predator to find unprotected skin. The spiral of a rolled poster or print, kept in a tube to prevent bending or creasing, holds art in portable form. The poster wants to stay flat, wants to hang on a wall, but for now, it's a spiral, waiting. When you unroll it and hang it, it slowly relaxes, releasing the tension of being coiled. In the way butter curls when you use a butter curler, drawing it across a cold block of butter, you create edible spirals. These curls are served in restaurants, on plates, making something ordinary, butter, into something decorative. The spiral makes it special, makes it art, makes it more than just fat to spread on bread. The spiral of a rolled yoga sticky mat, smaller and denser than a regular yoga mat, keeps its spiral memory for years. Each time you unroll it for practice, it tries to curl back up at the edges. You have to smooth it flat, have to insist that it stay open. The mat remembers being rolled, wants to return to that spiral form. In the shell of a Japanese wonder shell, that pale, delicate spiral that looks almost fragile, you find a structure that's surprisingly strong. These shells are thin, translucent when held to light, and their spiral chambers are visible through the shell material. They're found in tropical waters, floating sometimes crawling along the ocean floor. The way a yo-yo's string winds and unwinds, creating spirals of motion, is an ancient toy that demonstrates physics. The yo-yo drops, spinning, unwinding the string. Then it rebounds, winding back up, climbing the string through centrifugal force and friction. Down and up, spiral and counter-spiral, the yo-yo dances. In the growth of a bird's nest fern, those tropical ferns that grow in trees, collecting fallen leaves and debris in their centers, the fronds emerge in spirals. The fern creates a basket-like structure, and in that basket, the fern composts its own soil, breaking down organic matter to feed itself. The spiral is both structure and strategy. Your thoughts spiral now, becoming circular, repetitive, soft. The same images return again and again, shells, flowers, galaxies, but softer each time, quieter, like an echo fading into distance. Let them fade, let them go. Let yourself spiral down into the deep rest where no patterns matter, where there's only darkness and warmth and peace. Almost there now, almost home, almost at the quiet center where everything rests. The spiral has brought you here, through all these images, all these patterns, all these expressions of the golden ratio that nature writes again and again. And now you're arriving at stillness, at the point where the spiral stops spinning and simply is, simply exists, simply holds you in its curve. In the spiral of a rolled newspaper lying on a doorstep in the morning, wet with dew, the paper has absorbed moisture and tightened its spiral. Later, as it dries in the sun, it will relax slightly. But for now, it's a tight scroll of news and stories, of information spiraled into portable form. The way a caterpillar curls into a protective spiral when disturbed, tucking its head inward, creating the smallest possible target for predators, shows that even small creatures understand the value of curving into themselves. The caterpillar becomes a spiral of soft body and bristles, waiting for danger to pass. In the shell of a triton's trumpet, that large sea snail with a shell that can be blown like a horn, you find a spiral that's been used by humans for thousands of years. Pacific Island cultures use these shells to signal across water, to call communities together, to mark important moments. The spiral amplifies sound, projects it, makes the shell a musical instrument. The spiral of a rolled-up fire hose on a truck or in a station, coiled in perfect loops, holds potential energy. When there's an emergency, the hose unrolls quickly, extending to bring water to flames. But most of the time it waits, spiraled and patient, ready but unused, hoping to remain unused. In the arrangement of seeds in a black-eyed Susan flower, that cheerful yellow bloom with the dark center, you find spirals of seeds radiating outward. The flower blooms in summer, attracting bees and butterflies, and when it fades, the seeds remain in their spiral arrangement, waiting for wind or birds to disperse them. The way a garden snail's shell can be home to other creatures after the snail dies. Hermit crabs sometimes use them, though they prefer marine shells. Shows that spirals outlast the lives that made them. The shell continues, the pattern persists, offering shelter to new inhabitants, new stories spiraling through the same old form. If you're barely conscious now, drifting in that beautiful space between waking and sleeping, that's perfect. You can let go completely whenever you're ready. These words will continue, a gentle background, a soft presence, but you don't need to follow them anymore. You can simply rest. In the spiral of a coiled extension cord, wrapped around a reel or lying in loose coils in a garage, you see electricity's pathway spiraled for storage. When you need power elsewhere, you unroll the cord, creating a straight line between outlet and device. But its natural state is coiled, spiraled, wound upon itself. The way a DNA helix twists in three-dimensional space, not just the double helix you might picture, but the supercoiling that allows meters of DNA to fit inside a microscopic nucleus, involves spirals within spirals within spirals. Your genetic information is stored in nested spirals, compressed impossibly small, containing the instructions for building and maintaining you. In the shell of a tree snail, those colorful land snails that live in tropical forests, hanging from leaves and tree bark, you find spirals painted with nature's palette. Some species have shells with brilliant yellows, oranges, pinks, spiraling in patterns unique to their species. The spiral is both protection and identification. The spiral of a coiled fire hose after the fire is out, after the emergency has passed is a return to readiness. The hoses cleaned, checked for damage, and carefully coiled back into storage. The spiral is patience, is preparation, is the quiet time between crises when everything waits in potential. In the way a fern frond browns and curls as autumn comes, dying back for winter, you see the spiral reversed. The frond uncurled in spring, reached toward light all summer, and now it curls back up, returns to spiral form before falling away completely. The pattern comes full circle, from tight spiral to open frond to tight spiral to earth. The spiral of a cassette tape unwound by accident, tangled into a brown snarl of thin magnetic tape, is a spiral gone wrong. The tape is meant to be wound tightly on its reels, but sometimes it catches, sometimes it tangles, and the spiral becomes chaos. It's a reminder that spirals require maintenance, require care to remain organized. In the shell of a violet snail, that small pelagic snail that floats on the ocean surface using a raft of bubbles, you find a spiral adapted for a life at the boundary between water and air. The shell is delicate, purple-tinted, and the snail hangs upside down beneath its bubble raft, filtering food from the water, drifting wherever currents take it. The way a rope coils on a boat deck, each loop carefully placed to prevent tangling when the rope runs out quickly, is a sailor's art. The spiral must be perfect, each loop the right size, laid in the right direction, so the rope can pay out smoothly when needed. The spiral is safety, is seamanship, is practiced skill. In the growth rings of coral, those layers of calcium carbonate laid down year after year, you find spirals in cross-section. The coral grows slowly, building reef structures that can be thousands of years old. Each ring is a year. Each spiral records time, records water temperature, records the slow, patient building of underwater mountains. Your breathing spirals down now, slower and slower, each breath a little quieter than the last. Your heartbeat slows, finds its resting rhythm, the spiral of your blood moving through spiraling vessels in its endless circuit. Everything in you spirals, rests, continues, holds you in life even as you drift toward sleep. The spiral ends where it began, at the center, at the point of origin, at the quiet place where all things rest before spiraling out again. You're at the center now, you're home, you're held. Let yourself rest here in perfect stillness, in perfect peace. The center holds you now, quiet and still and safe. All the spirals we've explored, shells and galaxies, flowers and storms, the vast and the tiny, they all begin here at this point of stillness, and they all return here, completing their curve, finding their rest. You're at the heart of the spiral now, where there's no movement, no sound, only gentle presence. In the spiral of a rolled sleeping cat, so deeply asleep that its breathing barely moves its fur, you see complete relaxation. The cat has found its perfect position, has curled into the shape that conserves warmth and feels most secure. Its whiskers might twitch with dreams, but otherwise it's a still spiral of contentment. The way a ball of yarn unwinds as someone knits, the spiral slowly diminishing as it becomes fabric, is a spiral giving itself away. The yarn was wound into a ball for convenience, for storage, and now it unwinds with purpose, becoming something new. The spiral sacrifices itself to become a sweater, a scarf, a blanket. In the shell of a whelk egg case, that papery spiral that washes up on beaches, you find the remnants of a spiral nursery. Each section of the case held a tiny whelk egg, and when the young hatched, they emerged and the case washed ashore. Now it's empty, light, a paper spiral that crunches underfoot or blows away in wind, the spiral of a rolled bandage kept in a first aid kit holds healing potential. The bandage is wound tight, spiral upon spiral, and when someone is hurt, you unroll it, wrapping it around wounds, applying pressure, providing protection. The spiral unwinds to serve, to help, to heal. In the way a ball python coils itself in its habitat, creating a perfect spiral of scale and muscle, you see a snake at rest. Ball pythons are docile creatures, and when they feel safe, they coil into tight spirals, hiding their head in the center of the coil. The spiral is protection, is privacy, is the snake's way of feeling secure. The spiral of ivy climbing up a wall, tendrils reaching and grasping, wrapping around whatever they find, creates a living tapestry over brick or stone. The ivy grows slowly but persistently, covering surfaces in green, and its stems spiral as they climb, each tendril finding its own path upward toward light. Perhaps you've already slipped away into sleep, and if so, that's beautiful. These words continue whether you hear them or not, a gentle presence in the darkness, a soft voice in the night. And if you're still here, still hovering in that peaceful space, you're welcome to stay as long as you like. In the shell of a Scotch bonnet, that beautiful spiral shell found on beaches and warmer waters, you find a shape that fits perfectly in the palm of your hand. The shell is smooth, orange and white, spiraling from a sharp point to a wide opening. Children collect them, treasure them, carry them home as proof of the ocean's artistry. The way a spider's egg sac, that silk sphere containing hundreds of tiny eggs, is wrapped in layers and layers of spiral silk, shows a mother's instinct for protection. The eggs are safe inside, kept warm and dry, guarded until they hatch and tiny spiders emerge, dispersing on strands of silk that catch the wind. In the spiral of a coiled watch spring, that thin metal ribbon that stores energy to power mechanical watches, you find spiral as timekeeping. As the spring unwinds, it releases energy in precise increments, turning gears that move hands around the watch face. Time itself, in a mechanical watch, is measured by a slowly unwinding spiral. The spiral of a wooden shaving from a pencil sharpener, curling out in a thin ribbon of wood and graphite, is a temporary spiral. These shavings pile up in the sharpener's reservoir, creating a chaos of golden spirals all tangled together. They smell of cedar or pine, of wood and lead, of preparation for writing. In the way a millipede coils into a spiral when threatened, bringing all its segments together into a tight defensive ball, you see a creature using spiral geometry for protection. The hard outer surface of each segment faces outward, protecting the softer underside. The millipede waits in this spiral form until danger passes. The spiral of a rolled dollar bill, carried in a pocket or wrapped around other bills, is currency temporarily coiled. The bill wants to lie flat, but it's been rolled, been compressed, been shaped by hands and wallets. When you unroll it, it slowly relaxes, though it might never be perfectly flat again. In the shell of a moon shell, that smooth, rounded spiral with a glossy surface, you find a structure designed for burrowing. The moon snail lives in sandy bottoms, plowing through the sand in search of clams to eat. Its shell is streamlined, minimal, a spiral that parts sand rather than resisting it. The way smoke from a candle flame spirals upward when you blow out the candle, that thin stream of white smoke rising in helixes, is hot air made visible. The smoke follows thermal currents, spiraling as it rises, carrying the scent of extinguished flame, eventually dispersing into invisibility. In the growth of a monstera leaf as it unfurls, that large tropical plant with dramatic split leaves, the new growth emerges as a tight spiral from the previous leaf's base. The new leaf slowly uncurls over days or weeks, revealing its splits and holes, its patterns of fenestration. The spiral becomes flat, becomes open, becomes ready to catch light. Your mind spirals now through images half remembered, half dreamed. Shells and flowers, galaxies and waves, all blurring together into a soft wash of patterns, of mathematics, of nature's endless repetition, of this one beautiful form. Let them blur, let them fade. Let yourself sink deeper into rest. The spiral is complete, the journey is done. And here, at the center, there's nothing but quiet, but warmth, but the soft darkness that holds you while you sleep. Rest now, rest deeply, rest completely. The quietest part of night, where even spirals rest. We're near the end now, near the place where words fade into silence, where patterns dissolve into peace. You've traveled so far, through so many spirals, and now there's almost nothing left to say. Just a few more soft images, a few more gentle reminders that you're held, you're safe, you're exactly where you need to be. In the spiral of a rolled calendar removed from the wall at year's end, you see time itself wound up for storage. Each month was a page, each day a square, and now it's all spiraled together into a cylinder of past time, of appointments kept and missed, of days that came and went. The spiral holds memory, holds history, holds the year that was. The way a child's party blower uncurls when you blow into it, extending from a tight spiral into a straight tube that honks or squeaks, is spiral as surprise. The paper tube is coiled, and breath makes it straighten with a sound. Then it curls back up when you stop blowing. It's spiral as play, as laughter, as celebration. In the shell of a hairy triton, that spiral shell covered in a hairy brown periostracum, you find a structure both beautiful and strange. The shell itself, underneath the hair-like covering, is smooth and spiraled, but the outer layer gives it texture, makes it look almost alive, even when the snail is gone. The spiral of a garden hose that's been left in the sun, the rubber softened by heat, holding whatever shape it was left in, is spiral by default. The hose should be coiled neatly, but instead, it's a chaos of curves, of random spirals, of disorder. It will still work, still carry water, but it's lost its organized spiral form. In the way a pill bug curls into a perfect sphere when threatened, its segmented body becoming a tiny armored ball, you see spiral in 3 dimensions. The pill bug folds all its legs and antennae inward, presents only its hard outer shell, and waits. When danger passes, it slowly unrolls, returning from sphere to insect. The spiral of a tornado's path across the ground, not just the funnel, but the damaged track it leaves, often curves because of the rotation of the earth and local wind conditions. The tornado might travel for miles, spiraling through the landscape, leaving a spiral of destruction that can be seen from above when the storm has passed. If you're still breathing slowly, still resting here in this quiet space, you might feel yourself sinking deeper with each word. That's good. That's right. Let yourself sink. Let the spirals hold you as you fall into sleep, into dreams, into the deep rest that your body needs. In the shell of a crown conch, that large spiral with knobby projections along its whorls, you find a structure built for both protection and intimidation. The shell is heavy, solid, crowned with spines that make it difficult for predators to grasp or crush. Inside, the conch lives its slow life, filtering food from water, building its shell day by day. The way a telephone cord used to spiral back when phones were tethered to walls shows spiral as connection. The cord stretched and coiled through hundreds of conversations. Eventually, the spirals became so tight and tangled that the cord needed to be replaced, but for years it spiraled, connecting voice to voice. In the spiral of a fiddlehead fern, slowly uncurling in time-lapse photography, you see spiral as motion, as growth, as transformation. The tight coil loosens, the tip begins to arc outward, the frond unfurls in smooth spiraling motion until it's fully open. Time speeds up in the video, but the spiral takes days in real life, patient and unhurried. The spiral of a rolled poster tube, cardboard or plastic, protecting art or documents during transport, is spiral as shield. The tube keeps flat things from bending, keeps important papers safe. Inside is potential, a poster of stars, a blueprint of buildings, a print of paintings, all spiraled for safekeeping. In the way a seahorse's tail spirals at rest, curling into a tight coil when the seahorse isn't gripping anything, you see spiral as neutral position. The tail springs into spiral form when released, ready to curl around the next piece of seagrass, the next coral branch, the next anchor point in the seahorse's slow-moving world. The spiral of a coiled rope bridge on a sailing ship, that ladder of rope and wood rungs that allows sailors to climb the mast, is spiral as access. The bridge spirals around the mast, each step a little higher than the last, creating a path upward toward the crow's nest, toward the view from above, toward the highest point of the ship. In the shell of a sundial shell, lying on a beach at low tide, half buried in sand, you find a spiral waiting to be discovered. A child might find it, might turn it over in small hands, might hold it to the light and see the spiral chambers through the thin shell wall. The shell is a gift from the ocean, a small mathematical miracle. Your heartbeat is slow now, steady, spiraling blood through your body in its endless circuit. Your breathing is barely noticeable, just the gentlest rise and fall. You are spiral, you are pattern, you are part of the golden ratio that runs through everything, and you are resting, deeply resting, held by patterns older than time. Let go now. Let everything go. The spirals will continue without you. They don't need you to observe them. They'll spin and grow and curl whether you're watching or not. You can rest now. You can sleep. You're safe in the center of the spiral, in the quiet eye, where everything is still. Silence now. Almost silence, just the softest whisper of pattern, a breath of being. This is where the spiral ends and begins, where the journey completes itself and starts again. You've come to the center, to the stillness, to the place where there's nothing left to spiral toward, because you're already here, already home, already resting in the heart of everything. In the final curve of a shell, where the spiral's opening faces the world, you find both beginning and end. This is where the creature lived, where it extended its soft body to move and eat and breathe. This is the edge of the spiral, the present moment, the now that spirals out from every past moment. The way a sleeping dog curls nose to tail, creating a circle that's almost a spiral, shows that even mammals understand the comfort of curving into yourself. The dog breathes slowly, dreams perhaps of running or chasing, and its body holds the shape, that feels most safe, most warm, most right. In the last whirl of a nautilus, the largest chamber where the animal currently lives, you find the present moment of a spiral that's been growing for years. Behind this chamber are all the sealed rooms of the past, each one a moment in time, a size the nautilus once was. Ahead is the future, the chambers yet to be built, the spiral yet to grow. The spiral of a life, birth to growth, to maturity, to age, follows curves we can't always see, but can sometimes feel. We grow from small to large, from simple to complex, adding chambers to our lives, like a nautilus adds chambers to its shell. And somewhere in the spiral is this moment, is you resting here. In the way a flower opens and closes, spiraling through daily rhythms, you see time as spiral rather than line. The flower blooms at dawn, spiraling open. It closes at dusk, spiraling shut. Each day, another turn of the spiral, another opening, another closing, until the flower's time is done. The spiral of seasons, spring to summer, to autumn, to winter, and back to spring, is the year turning through its cycle. Each season is a chamber in time's spiral, and we move through them, one after another, forever spiraling through the year, through years, through the time we're given. There's no pressure to stay awake now. These are the last words, the last images, the last gentle reminders that everything is spiral. You can let them fade into dreams, into sleep, into the soft darkness where spirals continue even when we're not conscious of them. In the spiral of a seed, becoming a plant, becoming flowers, becoming seeds, you see life's cycle made visible, the spiral of generations, each one emerging from the one before, each one carrying the pattern forward, growing and dying and growing again. The spiral continues, endless, patient, sure. The way stars spiral around the center of the galaxy, taking millions of years to complete one rotation, reminds us that some spirals are too large and too slow for human eyes to see. But they're there. They're real. They're moving in the same patterns as shells on beaches, as flowers in gardens, as ferns in forests. In the spiral of your own thoughts as you drift toward sleep, as images and words blur together, as consciousness spirals down into unconsciousness, you see that even your mind follows this pattern. Thoughts circling, returning, spiraling deeper until they become dreams, until thinking stops and there's only rest. The golden ratio is everywhere and nowhere, visible and invisible, known and mysterious. It's been here before us and will be here after us. It spirals through nature without plan, without purpose, simply because it works, because it's efficient, because it's beautiful. Close your eyes now, if they're not already closed. Let your body be heavy. Let the bed or chair or wherever you're resting hold you completely. You don't need to hold yourself up anymore. You can let go. The spiral holds you. The pattern supports you. In the silence between breaths, in the pause between heartbeats, in the stillness at the center of everything, there's peace. There's rest. There's the quiet knowledge that you are part of something vast and ancient and ongoing. You are spiral. You are pattern. You are golden ratio made flesh. And now, in this final moment before sleep takes you completely, know that you are held. You are safe. You are exactly where you should be. The spirals continue in shells, in flowers, in galaxies far away, and you are part of them, woven into the pattern, belonging to it as surely as waves belong to oceans. Let yourself rest now. Let yourself sleep. The spiral is complete. soft silence, warmth, darkness, peace. You are held in patterns older than memory, safer than words can say. Rest now, just rest. Everything is spiral, everything is golden, everything is exactly as it should be. Good night.